Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. We're live in Atlanta. We're at the Georgia World Congress, the HQ for all things Radio Row. All brought to you by LifeBridge Health Sports Medicine Institute, taking care of my left elbow. This guy is cut from an interesting cloth. This is going to be a fun one here. Chad Millman is the Chief Content Officer for the Action Network, but has written books, has launched ESPN stuff, has also been very, very involved in the space that Luke and I have been talking about, which is the money in this here business is in the gambling side of things, I think, moving forward. Mr. Goodell agrees with that. Mr. Silver agrees with that. At some point, baseball will figure it out as well. They're all trying to draw into this. You've gone out of this sort of magazine content digital space to a new place called the Action Network, and I'm excited to hear about it, man. What's going on?
It's super fun. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the
pleasure,
intro.
man. What's happening?
You know, just walking around trying to talk about the Super Bowl and betting.
Right. Well, that shouldn't be hard
to do.
Biggest
right? betting event of the year. It's actually the event that, like, introduces so many people who don't know anything about betting to betting, right? Because we're all getting together on our couches.
Yeah.
It's a total gateway drug. Like, we're getting together, we're on our couches, we're playing box pools, or we're betting on how long the national anthem's going to be, or how many times is the Bud Light going to appear in the Bud Light commercials. Like,
how many times does it appear out the window of my hotel room? It's
exactly.
on the side of buildings in
It's
Atlanta
everywhere.
right
By
now,
the way, there is a total on that. The total on how many times will the Bud Light appear during the Super Bowl is 1.5. I'm taking the under.
I'm going over on the national anthem just because I want to hear her sing it longer.
I don't think she's going to do it. I actually feel like she's going to go low, and I also feel like...
See, I'm a lousy bettor. I bet with my heart, not my head.
Well, that's, you know...
I'm done.
That's why people like you need the Action Network. So you can
Tell
go
me
to
about
the
Action Network. Dude, your background's interesting because you've written books, you've been involved in digital content. We share, I'm sure, a million mutual acquaintances in the LinkedIn space just because of the work we do. The Action Network and this law. You're still a young enough guy to have accomplished a lot while you're young enough. I see all that wisdom. I got the wisdom coming in, too.
Sure, yeah.
I just turned 50, right? I mean, it's all happening. And I think a lot of guys our age make a move and say, man, the world's a whole lot different than when we went to J school or whatever it was 30 years ago. And I broke into the newspaper industry in the 1980s thinking I was going to get a gold watch and be Oscar Madison. You know, there's an evolution even for people that have been successful like yourself that you're doing something here that is, dare I say, a risk, right?
Yeah, total risk. And look, I loved being at ESPN. I was there for a long time, and I had a great gig. But I had always been interested in sports betting, and I had written a book about guys who do it for a living like 20 years ago. And at ESPN in various sort of executive capacities, I had either covered it or started sort of verticals around it. And the more I covered it and the more we did about it, the more I felt like that's where the industry is going. And so...
what's sort of the last frontier?
They
squeezed every drop of dollars out of every beer and cable and on the cable and Yahoo and Twitter and their digital and their app and their international and their... you know, I mean, Roger says he's going to grow the pie.
Yeah.
Well,
how are you going to do that?
Yeah, where's the pie? Well, there's been a pie in every back alley in Philadelphia and New York since before the league was invented.
Yes.
And we ain't ever drank from that pie, right? Literally.
Exactly.
Right?
So, and you're 100% right. That's where the money's going to come. And so we started the Action Network a year ago. Online.
Action
meaning.
Action.
Get your action.
Get some action.
Yes,
you got
exactly.
action.
And but we
see,
honestly,
I didn't get that. I didn't know that till you sat here. Like that is the whole.
That's the connection. But we cover sports honestly the same way I did at ESPN, right? Like we're writing 30 or 40 stories a day. We got stuff about golf. We got stuff about basketball. But obviously this week we have tons of stuff on how to bet props, how to bet the game, how to bet the total, how is the line moving, why is this line open? This line opened right as soon as the AFC Championship game ended.
And all wrong.
The Patriots were -1. Were +1, right? They were 1-point underdogs. Within an hour, they were 2.5-point favorites. You might say it's wrong, but it's just where the money went.
The perception, I had a handicapper explain this to me earlier in the week, the perception was that the NFC was always the stronger conference all year long. So if you wanted to bet it in December, it was -2.
Yep.
And you just said, we'll take the NFC team, the future on it, and that when it actually turned this way, and they looked up and said, Tom Brady. Oh, Bill Belichick. And then before you could snap, no one was getting points with Brady in a Super Bowl.
I will tell you.
That's a good deal.
I will tell you that, like, I look at this game. We had it power rated at the Action Network as Rams -1. If you look in our app right now, which is free, by the way, if you look in our app right now, you can see betting percentages, meaning like the number of tickets that are on each side. How many people have bet on the Rams, how many people have bet on the Patriots, and then how much money is on each side. All of the tickets, all of the money on the Patriots. To me, that gives me pause. Like, when everybody is swinging that way, I tend to want to swing the other way. And with all the other data points that I have, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I'm betting the Rams. So I'm glad that the Rams are 2.5-point dogs because
now you're getting points with them.
I'm getting more value. Well, that's my take.
If it didn't say Brady, and I didn't see Brady have a 35-7 lead, and I haven't seen Brady come back from 28-3, I don't know that I'd be willing to bet a real American money against Tom Brady right now.
That's what bookmakers, when they set a point spread, they rely on recency bias. Recency bias. They rely on, like, what did the public last see? Right. You're considered the public,
sucker
right?
Buy.
It's sucker buy. And so, like, they know they can move things. They didn't do it, but remember, it was supposed to be 2.
I would not bet with my heart based on Tom Brady. I mean, it's Super Bowl LII. That's a lie. It's what he does. Yeah, I mean, I'm from Baltimore, bro. I got no. But I'm trying to be a smart. I'm trying to get the action. Forget about it. Right. So I feel like it's very, very hard to think that I'm not getting on an airplane Monday morning and flying back home where I will watch yet another crazy chowder parade on a cold day somewhere along.
So frustrating, right?
It sucks.
It's the worst.
Were you from New York? Where are you from?
Chicago.
Oh, well, you've had a little fun lately. I was there last week. Cubs had a little fun. Made a little fun.
A little bit of fun. It's
the
not
Cubs and the White Sox have both won in this century. The Bulls,
sustained.
You're good for life. The Blackhawks have won. I mean, what the hell you want, dude? DePaul to win or something?
It's not sustained. By the way, that wouldn't be bad.
All right.
Loyola could have been last year.
Northwestern has even, overcome their suckitude. And we've decided to adopt their jerseys, and Luke even likes it somehow.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
I'm not
right?
into that. It's weird. Way too Northwestern for me.
I like Northwestern, too.
Yeah.
I do.
All right, so I want to talk to you about a couple of things. First off, you've taken on this sort of entrepreneurial thing. You were the editorial director for ESPN Domestic Digital Content. I see, and you've written books. You're such a storyteller, right? Like, at your heart, that's your thing. What's the story here? What's the narrative for the Action Network from a success model standpoint that isn't just about your Jones and your interest in gambling?
Oh, I think the narrative is that the world is changing. There are new ways to cover sports. There are new ways to engage with fans. And we feel like this is the way we are doing it, the lens at which we look through, the lens we look through to watch sports is just changing. Like, I think about, over the last 20 years, you're thinking about Moneyball, you're thinking about fantasy, you're thinking about digital content, you're thinking about data. All these things have made sports betting much more popular, and a generation of fans has grown up thinking, oh, it's a clean, well-lighted place for me to bet on sports.
Also, fantasy is gambling. We found that out a couple of years ago, right? And the league found its paw a little too involved in that, and certainly the government's going to get involved in all of this. I think the wrong team is here. I mean, once the league gets involved in adjudicating this and being a part of it and having their hand in it, I think it's going to get real weird. Yeah. I think for the government and for oversight and for all of where this money's coming from, as it did in Costa Rica 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
When they're trying to get guys like you and I to do BetUS.com things and all that. I don't know where the future of this is, but the government's going to get involved in this. It's going to have to.
Well,
because this is where the action becomes.
I think.
Right?
I think they're already figuring out how they're going to get involved. I think to get very detailed on it, I think it's going to be really hard for the federal government once 15, 20 states have decided we're going to legalize sports betting to all of a sudden come out and say, nope, we're going to change those laws. We're going to federalize sports betting. You're going to have to follow our rules. Like right now, there's 8 states that have it. By the end of 19, there could be 15 states that have it. By the end of the year after, there's going to be 20 to 25 states that have it. So you're telling me that in 2.5 years, if the federal government decides they want to legalize sports betting, 25 states are not going to put up a huge
But where's the oversight
fight?
for the league to get the call right when there's $1 billion of money laid down on a pass interference call and the shove comes in and then I'm waiting 3 Mississippi and then the ball shows up, right? So that's where I think this thing's going to get really sticky and weird.
It totally gets sticky and weird. It's why the leagues wanted it to be federally legislated to begin with, and they just didn't get there.
And then they said, you know what? Or just go to Vegas and put a team there and build a stadium anyway and bring a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
After all of these years of
saying, no,
can't have Jimmy
no.
the Greek talking about the intangibles and all that stuff. Can't have, ESPN having the spreads up there. I mean,
right.
Sal Pal mentions the spreads. Whoa, we're not in on that kind of action, but now we are, right? So, well, I think that's where we sort of jumped the shark in all sorts of ways here. But really a pleasure to meet you, Chad, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, pleasure. Working on any more books or anything, or is this it?
I'm so busy with this, I can't write a book right now. I'm tired.
What's the challenge on the business side of this as far as making people understand what it is?
It's communicating the message, right? Like, you want people, look, the more and more places where sports betting becomes legal, more and more people are asking the question, what does it mean to bet on sports? And so it's up to us to explain the way you want to think about sports is not all that different than the way you want to think about sports when you aren't a sports bettor. At the end of the day, everybody who bets on sports, everybody who is a sports fan, just wants to be the smartest person in the room, right? You're a sports fan. You want to know more than the person you're watching the game with. If you want to know more, you got to know how people are betting on the game. You can talk about it. You can say, I know the line moved from Rams -1 to Rams +2.5, and you want to be able to explain why. You want to be able to say where professional bettors are going with that. Action Network is geared to sort of give people that next level of information.
Good stuff. Chad Millman here. Tell me to find you out on Twitter, Facebook. You're everywhere, right?
At Chad Millman on Twitter. At Action Network HQ on Twitter.
Good stuff, man. We're live on Radio Row. It's all brought to you by our friends at LifeBridge Health Sports Medicine Institute of Foundry Row in Owings Mills. Getting the pro game plan for you. Certainly helped me out with my left elbow. We'll be talking to the docs next week as well. Also brought to you by our friends at Royal Farms. Real fresh, real fast. And we had Torrey Smith on earlier. The Rofo Arena going to be hosting his game on March 30th. Doing another good turn for the community. We're down here in Atlanta all week long. You check out all of our action in the buy at Toyota.com Audio Vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. I'm Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.